And welcome back to the ABCs of ERP and Beyond, the podcast all around enterprise resource planning and how it can benefit businesses in the modern world. And today we're talking again, going back to this word AI. But AI is not just for tech giants. It's already reshaping how businesses operate. And today we'll talk about how it can help manufacturers operate. Everything from the shop floor to the front office. But where should we even begin? Well, in today's episode, we will be walking through 5 practical steps to help manufacturers really get started with AI in a way that's realistic, low risk, and actually useful. So whether you're just curious or already experimenting with tools like Copilot or ChatGPT, then hopefully some of the points that we'll discuss today will move you from kind of these buzzwords to potentially having a real impact in running your manufacturing business. And as ever, I could not do this without my fellow co-host, Nirav Shah. Welcome back.
Peter, thank you. Having me back on a regularly scheduled program here. And this was gonna come about at some point, right? As technology is evolving, and it's just not talking about AI overall landscape, right? Because now, as we're learning more about AI and its uses, you really got to look at how AI could work in your personal life, also in your business, right? Because there's a lot of granular use cases for AI now. I think when it first came out, what was it, a couple of years ago? It was like AI, bang. We just have this big buzzword, and then we had ChatGPT, do whatever you want with it, right? But we're kind of evolving past that, kind of full, just blanket AI statement, and now looking at it from a perspective of, well, how can AI carve out better data for my business now, right? Or what can it do for my business, for my manufacturing business? Not just my personal life, but also things that I needed to look at my, day-to-day, look at my historical information, or help me prevent quality issues, or, stay on top of, capacity load requirements, right? Make sure I have enough material at the right moment. So what can AI do for manufacturers specifically, and make them successful at the end of the day? And this is just one part. When we look at AI for manufacturers, how to get started. I think we're going to do some more episodes like this. We may talk about, distributors and how they get started with AI, and, other industries potentially, because I don't think it's the same industry to industry. You have to look at AI a little with some blinders on for your specific space at the end of the day. But I think this conversation has to be started, right? If you're not out there already thinking about AI for your business, I think you're already behind. You need to be able to start kind of coming up with a plan, and that plan looks different for every company. But what we want to share today is essentially baby steps to start embracing AI in your manufacturing organization, right? And if you could walk away from this episode and say, hey, I have these 4 or 5 actionable steps where I could get 3, 4, or 5 people in my company together, and we start creating the strategy, you're going to be so further ahead than maybe your competition, because you're not thinking about this right now, right? The quicker and faster you can start embracing AI for your manufacturing business, I think that's gonna take you one step ahead to opening other doors for your business, and seeing that growth that AI could potentially provide.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point that you said at the start there around the fact that it's gone super granular, and now there's a bazillion places that you can apply AI. We very quickly went to that, I feel. We went from this high level kind of AI, like LLMs and ChatGPT, you can ask it anything, to now we have very specific tools or agents, as a lot of companies are now referring to these as, which are solving real business cases, real business problems, but they're always very, very specific. We didn't develop this, the pace is ridiculous. And I can imagine if you're not in the space where you're reading this every single day, Like even I am in the space of tech and IT. I feel like if I don't read something for a couple of days, I'm behind already.
Yeah.
So I can
Yeah.
imagine for manufacturers out there that have nothing to do with this kind of world are like, holy crap, where do I even start? Depends on what you want to use AI for, I guess.
Yeah.
But we do need to start talking about it, which is actually our first kind of tip, I guess, here would be
Yeah.
start an AI group. You're going to have to start from somewhere. I would say put the feelers out on the company, see who's interested in this, see who's played around with ChatGPT, and start to form a kind of group that you can talk about what your early experiences are of AI, who's even used it, who understands what ChatGPT is when we talk about that,
Right.
and then start that conversation internally.
Yeah. And I think this is huge because AI was such a wide canvas. Everyone has different experiences with AI, right? Probably 9 out of 10 people that are in that group has used AI in some sort of capacity, right? Some had positive experiences, some's going to have negative experiences. But if you're going to do an AI initiative internally and think about, you know, what and how is AI going to help, this group is an important kind of first step because as an owner or an executive of a manufacturing company, you can't. I personally feel like you need buy-in from your team, right? The team is,
Mm-hmm.
everyone in the organization. So those specific, group leaders or whatnot that have this AI experience from different walks of life, right, and different uses of AI, bringing that experience in, and as the leader of a company, you want to know, like, okay, well, how can we, from all of our experiences, bring that together? How can we make that positive for the business at the end of the day?
Yep.
Because we know AI, like I've used it, probably use it every single day, right?
Yep.
In my business, in my personal life, I use it all the time. But
I think a lot of people don't even realize when they're using it.
yeah, true, 100%, 100%. But at the same time, right? I know not to trust AI's first answer that it gives me, ChatGPT, because I know it's not going to be, you know, dead on what I'm looking for, right? It's not going to
Mm-hmm.
give me an analysis to the level of response that I'm looking for. So I need to kind of massage it. I need to prompt it. I got to tell it not this, but this, or have you thought about this, and so on and so forth. And then it'll kind of like give me a response I feel, is accurate or reasonable. Right. And it's up to me to form my own opinion, obviously, not to take ChatGPT's response. But, that being said, same thing with applying it to your business, right? You can't just take, we're gonna do AI, so let's just do ChatGPT and start throwing in a bunch of questions. You can't do that, or throwing a bunch of prompts, right? It's gonna take a while. This is a process. So developing this group is a good first step because you're gonna start brainstorming on why do we need AI for the business? Why is it important, right? What are the risks? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
um, how can it help us, like start brainstorming, how can it help us in different departments, right? And then
Yeah.
come up with an idea, okay, there's a specific department that could probably benefit with this AI model more than another department, right? This is not a big bang implementation like an ERP system, right, where you're implementing, you're doing a whole heart transplant, right? And it's rip the old one out, put the new one in. But AI, I think, is a little unique where you could take it by departments and say, hey, first we're going to solve quality. There's an
Mm-hmm.
issue there, right? So let's
Yep.
feed it some data and let's start, working at it. But you got to get the opinion of people to see what their comfort level is with using AI. Is it going to scare people off, right?
Yep.
Or people are just like, hey, I don't want any part of this AI
We're
situation,
thinking
right?
about completely automating our AP process. you, don't, you, as our
No
AP
one,
person,
yeah,
how do you feel about this?
exactly, right? Um, so you want to get everyone's opinion. You want to share your stories. You want to share positive and negatives. How it's going to help everybody. How comfortable is everybody with AI? Because at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, AI is not going to replace people immediately, quote unquote. Okay. Um, does it have the capability? I'm still a little bit on the fence on that. Um, I think it's going to go as far as having a cup of coffee with somebody, right? And you need to make a business decision. So you kind of, there's going to be that aspect of, hey, I need to see someone's face, and can I convince them another way, to get on my side, to understand, what I'm trying to say, right? That type of thing. A lot of things are becoming black and white, so AI is kind of like there a little bit. Like this is the right answer, this is the wrong answer. But you want to have a good strategy. You want to make sure your group members, the company is ready to take on this initiative, and it starts with that internal conversation, this group conversation, as we're talking about here.
All right, number two is all around assessing your data in the first place. I think you can do two things at the same time. Point number one, start this internal AI group. You also need to probably do concurrently, and that's assessing your own data, your own landscape in terms of inventorying, is that even a word? Your data. Like, what data have you got available to it?
Right.
What data have you got in terms of systems? Have you got an ERP, an MES, CRM? Have you got a bunch of spreadsheets, a SharePoint site? What type of data have you got? Inventory,
Right.
list it all down. Then I would say, who owns what, or who understands what? Like, who's your ERP expert that can get to the data tables? Who's your CRM expert? Who's your SharePoint admin? Who's kind of responsible for it? Who governs it? And from there, I would then start to assess your data quality.
Yep.
How is it? Is it missing information? Is it actually up to date? Is it consistent across different systems? You might have, your ERP with a load of customer names, and then your sales Excel report calls them different names. Things like that, and map out those kind of gaps where you've got the missing data or siloed data. I think once you've got it all together, that's when you can start looking at the governance and compliance things. Who can access what? What restrictions have we got around stuff? Because, of course, you don't want to just throw AI on top, and now AI is talking to someone about sensitive data they shouldn't even know.
Right.
What the contents of that is. So I would have a compliance thing around user access permissions, and really start to write this down. There's a couple of ways to do it. You could even just do it in a spreadsheet. But there are, I know that Microsoft have a really good one called the Microsoft Maturity Model. I'll probably link to this. It's huge. It's like an entire subsite of everything to do with how you assess. It's basically a framework for you to assess your data maturity, because everyone can get really excited. You can, like, point number one, internal AI group. Everyone gets excited about AI. Yep, let's go for it.
Yep.
Crap, we got shit data. it's not going to work. So those two are, I think, the first 2 points you need to do before you can actually start any kind of AI journey. What do you think about that? Data. From the data guy, he's gonna.
From the data guy, exactly. Yeah, I 100%. You got to protect what you have, right? And whether that's external or that's internal, I think that's one of the biggest concerns, and why there's maybe a lack of AI, AI adoption in the SMB space for small manufacturers, or just manufacturing in general, because they're worried that their data, putting into these models, right, or someone not being an internal resident, a expert residence in AI data modeling or anything like that, that their data is going to get out to the wrong platforms and will be leaked out there, and now they're going to be vulnerable for hacking, or they're going to, it's going to get into the wrong hands, or someone's going to know their trade secrets or something like that. So I think that is a huge concern, and one of the reasons why probably a lot of companies don't take on this initiative, at least right now, right? Because think about it. What are the traditional roles in a manufacturing company, right? When you talk from an IT perspective, it's probably your server manager, someone who manages your server room, right? And then you have your ERP publisher, right? Generally, those are the main two. That server room admin or server admin, IT director is basically in charge of office licenses. Email is up and running, right? The machines are up and running. Um, Wi-Fi is connected. Go to access points, so on and so forth, right? And you have an ERP, maybe that's
Yep.
in-house or that's hosted. So you have your ERP publisher, but who
Yep.
is there to be in charge of your AI data, of the data that you put into these different models, right? There is
Yep.
nobody there right now. So I think that's a big fear factor for manufacturing companies right now is, yeah, as much as I want to do this AI thing, I don't also want to, end up being a victim of ransomware where my data
Hmm.
goes out to my competitors at the end of the day. And now I'm really screwed, right? So it's important to understand what data, like you mentioned, is that you want to work with, that you want to
Yep.
mature over time, uh, what type of objectives you're looking for. So data governance is huge. Well, so let me ask you, Peter, if there is no internal AI resident, expert resident on data management or anything like that, what should they do? How should they go about and say, or what tools maybe should they be looking at potentially to um, start, putting their data in certain places and then applying AI to it?
Yeah, this is a difficult one because it's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I guess
Yeah.
if you have in mind an area of the business that you think could have a nice AI project to kind of increase value or ROI, I think then you would say, uh, then you go, right, let's assess the data that we need for that because it might be too large to go, let's assess everything. Let's assess our
Yeah.
entire Salesforce area, our entire ERP area, and then find out that actually you could only really benefit at the moment from a QC process.
Yeah.
Then you probably got a lot of wasted effort. So I think maybe we got a point later on here, but if you can identify early a particular business objective for AI, and then work from there on the data. Now, if you haven't got a
Hmm.
data expert, there's gonna be a data expert that understands the core concepts of good data. There's gonna be
Hmm.
someone that's managing the ERP. There has to be,
Yeah.
otherwise you just wouldn't be
Yeah.
operating. Now, it might be your
Yeah.
ERP partner. I'd imagine that I don't know. There probably is an emerging space for consultancy on this AI consultancy. I've
Yeah.
not really
Right.
done a lot of googling on that, but
Yeah.
it's got to be
Right.
someone. You
Yeah.
like we've said with ERP projects. I think you're going to have to find the internal expert
Hmm.
and then marry that up with probably a consultant. You're not.
Hmm.
It's very rare you're going to find a company that has superstar data engineer that's up to speed with AI, that understands the ERP, that also understands the data governance side and the regulatory side of running a business. It's too many hats. So I think you're just going to have to find someone internally and at the same time maybe pair with a consultant. You don't necessarily need a full-time consultant, big, large projects. Find someone that can just spend maybe 2 half-day sessions to run a workshop. I think a few hours um, with the right advisor is going to save you so much time anyway. At least have someone come in and explain what we mean when we talk about data maturity, when we talk about what the fundamentals are for consideration before an AI project. I think
Hmm.
that getting that kind of foundation level of understanding first, then the business can go off because it's only going to be the business. It's not going to be the consultant that's going to understand your data and what
Right.
good looks like. So I think just having maybe a couple of workshops with someone that comes in and gives you those fundamentals will be a good launch pad for any business to be able to say um, whether they're ready or not. They should be able to
I
have that
agree.
kind of gut feel.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree. I think it's definitely, um, spending workshops or even free resources online on YouTube, just to take maybe some,
Yeah.
some Copilot classes or something like that, just on Microsoft Learn. Great starting point to start thinking about how you're gonna protect your data, what form and format you need your data in, and start creating small models through
Yep.
Copilot, right? And or another, you know, backend solution platform, and just start running some prompts, right? And
Yep.
seeing what you could do with that data. It's an evolving process. You're not going to get it right day one.
Yep.
It's going to take time, but you got to be committed.
Yep. Point number 3 here. I think just as much as it's advisable to find, I'm kind of giving away point 4 here, but point 3 is just as much as it's advisable to find kind of a niche. If you find a niche, you're probably in a niche area anyway. Reach out to other manufacturing companies in your space and ask them, are they using AI? Have they considered it? Have they found any
Yeah.
areas that AI might be a good fit for?
Yeah.
Where can people start doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it goes without saying, podcasts, listen to podcasts out there. There's some really
Yeah,
great experts in the space that are probably talking about AI and adoption of AI in your industry. Attend
I imagine if you
conferences.
just go to Spotify podcasts and search for manufacturing AI, you're going to
Yeah,
find
exactly. You're going to
specific
find,
podcasts
yeah.
about the whole world is AI for manufacturers.
And for your industry, right? Like
Yeah.
specific AI programs and software for your industry. So, and the benefits that a company has versus another company, so on and so forth. So I think conferences is a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
We just recently sponsored a conference here in Illinois called Next Gen Manufacturing in the AI Era. And there was, different companies out there that have implemented various different AI technologies in their company. They're just talking
Mm-hmm.
about their experiences. There's different vendors there. You could talk through, what are what's appropriate AI adoption. What are
Yep.
costs associated to this? Like, get out there. This is going to be something you're going to want to do. So, get out there,
Yeah.
attend some AI conferences, speak to people, speak to vendors, speak to customers there. You're going to get a lot out of it, right? Because this is a
Yeah.
technology, and Peter, you said it right at the beginning, that this could even be bigger than the advent of the internet.
Yeah.
And if you're just starting right now, it's still not late, but you want to find where the experts are currently talking, right? And where
Yeah.
they're living and breathing in right now, and connect with those guys. So podcasts, conferences, AI forward conferences, different YouTube videos that are out there, right? And like with anything, in the day and age of research, you got to take all this information, disseminate it, and figure out, okay, what actually makes sense for my business, right? What can I do for my business, like realistically, at the end of the day, right? Because your resources are different than somebody else's business resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe your location, maybe your product line, whatever it is, but you have to kind of take everything that you understand and learn and see how it could apply to your business positively at the end of
Yeah.
the day. So I think those are great resources. And there's probably, like you mentioned, different articles. You could probably prompt ChatGTP to also give you some ideas on how on best ways to start learning AI for your business and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of resources out there.
I think conferences are great for those conversations that always start with, if we could do it differently this time, we do this.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
whatever you do, make
exactly,
sure you don't do this. Like those
exactly,
kind of things. It's easy to find all
exactly.
best practices and here's the good way of doing things. But actually, those
Yeah,
gritty conversations, which is, you know what, don't make the
yeah,
mistake, the same
right,
mistake we
right.
did. Everyone tunes in when they hear, oh, whatever you do, don't do this. Everyone's like
Yeah,
suddenly like, oh, go on. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
All right, point number 4. Say we've done this. We've got our little internal team. They're super keen. We've done an assessment. Our data's good enough. Um, we've spoken to other manufacturers. They're doing some cool stuff. We've subscribed to the ABCs of ERP and Beyond. Um,
Smash, 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 smash.
Yep,
That like
smash
button.
the like button on the subscribe button.
Hmm.
And we're
Hmm.
ready. We want to try out something. We want to get a little dip our toe into the water of AI. So,
Hmm.
point number 4, pick out a project. What should we consider if we want to have a go ourselves?
Yeah, this is probably where you may even spend the most time in um, developing or confirming your AI plan, right? Like, okay, what are we targeting to solve? What
Yeah.
is AI going to help us solve? What haven't we been able to do, right? What department is going to get the most benefit, right? Now that's going to be a project that kind of comes out of everything that you've done up to that point, but it's picking something that's maybe low risk. It's going to yield a pretty decent high reward, right? And you mentioned there's a measurable ROI to that, right? Because there's going to be some cost to buying some of these AR tools out there, um, and then start feeding it data, and then start having it learn your data, right? And then you're fine tuning it, and then training folks to use it. And then what are you going to do with that data? How are you going to make those process improvements based on the feedback that
Hmm.
you get? So there's going to be this, this continuous kind of plan cycle that happens with the AI project because it
Yeah.
never ends really, right? Because that's the whole purpose of AI, and in my mind at least, where it's continuous process improvement at the end of the day. Um, and you're defining your success. Like, what does this look like for us, right?
Yep.
Um, and you're using that as a springboard to roll out AI in other places in the company,
Hmm.
right? Maybe the first place you're going to roll it out is in quality control because you mentioned something earlier, like there's a picture of a perfect product that's come in or that you want to make sure is the standard against all the other products that you're producing. Now that quality, right? You're punching all that information into the AI model, and as it's getting data, maybe it's synced into your MES system, right? Your manufacturing execution system, so that takes an image up against the image of your what I call your golden product, right? And then it just starts identifying maybe flaws, it identifies yields, it identifies um, um, scrap or whatever that is, and just spitting out all this data intelligently, right? Now you're collecting it for a reason to do what, right? Okay, now we're going to have this other side of it that we're going to now start analyzing. Well, you know, why does this happen? Is it from a specific vendor? Is it because this product is maybe sitting too close next to another product? Are there some temperature issues, right? Whatever it
Mm.
is, now that AI model, right, could start learning how to increase your chance of having successful um, quality
Yep.
boards or quality products than
Yep.
rejects at the end of the day. And then you start kind of thinking about, all right, we're taking out some of the human element of the inspection, punching it into this AI model that's giving us better feedback so we could talk to our vendors better, um, warehouse the products better, whatever the case is, but have a success there. Now let's look at, okay, well, can we reduce our picking time, right? Let's
Hmm.
try to go ahead and put our AI, try to put AI around our warehouse operations potentially, right? What else
Yeah.
do we do after this?
I think this is a great starting point for finding that. It's maybe just go around the business and go, give me your pain points. What do you hate most about your job?
Yep. Yep.
Um, and maybe you'll find something in there. I would say though, I'd pick something that's small. don't
Yeah.
don't go right. We're
Yeah.
going to QC the entire factory. Um,
Yeah.
if you can, if you find that you think that you're going to most benefit from AI in the QC world, pick one product line. Just pick
Yeah.
one and see what
Exactly.
happens. Um,
Exactly.
maybe find
Hmm.
something, go round, find the pain points of the business, and then just pick something that's low risk because you don't want to like flip over to a new way of doing something, and then it's even harder to backtrack and re-implement the old way of doing something. So pick something
Yeah.
low risk. It's not going to impact the customer if it like completely goes wrong.
Right.
Um,
Right.
there's fairly isolated as well. So if it goes wrong, it won't affect anything else of the running of the company. Um,
Yeah.
and something that's measurable. I guess you probably get that from the pain point. Someone's going to go,
Yeah.
"Oh, we lose a bunch of time doing this." Right. Okay.
Right.
Now let's put a KPI or a measurement around time saved.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or it
Yeah.
takes there's too many people to do this and things get lost in this process. Great. Let's do
Yeah.
a measurement around
Yeah.
um, flow of information.
Well, yeah, and one thing that we haven't even talked about, I just thought about, Peter, is what about VR AI, virtual reality
They're doing it.
AI, right?
They're doing it.
And
Pickers are
and
doing it
and through
in big
on the
warehouses.
manufacturing floor where you could bridge unskilled, the unskilled uh, work responsibilities, where someone that needs to be trained in another department, right? So now you have a wider pool of resources to kind of work in different places. At the end of the day, you can use VR, implement a VR headset that will capture information, will teach the person how to do their job through the VR model, but with AI. Why does somebody keep messing this machine up, right? How do we emphasize that on the VR model so they get it, so they don't do mess up the machine? Or how do they make sure we have less setup time, right? How do we increase throughput on a machine? Because the way they're moving their hands, for example, now if you put a VR headset on them, right, the AI behind the data may give them other ideas and tips on how to do a specific function faster, to increase throughput, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that, where it's
Yeah.
continuous training through AI just to get better and
Yep.
better and more successful through the manufacturing process with all the data you're collecting. That could also be used for a training
Yep.
tool, right? Not
Yep.
just data analysis. So I put on a headset one time. It was VR. It was a Meta headset, and it basically was used to help. I think it was kids that were going through being a mechanic, and
Yep.
through virtual reality, like it would teach you how to do an oil change. Like you put this thing on, and you imagine like there's a car right underneath you. There's that oil can right next to you. You have your parts. You have an air filter or oil filter, whatever it is, and you're actually doing an oil change. And it could tell whether you're doing something wrong in the wrong sequence, right, in the wrong position. It gives you all this feedback and makes you do it over again, but does it in a way where you actually do it right the next time.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it
cool.
was it was unbelievable.
What about this? Imagine being in like a job where maybe in the construction sector or something like that, or engineering where you're working at height and you're having to inspect something.
Right.
How much safer is it going to be if you're just wearing like Google glasses, maybe not a full VR headset, but even if it's just glasses that are recording point of view of what you're seeing, and
Yeah.
you're having to do an inspection at height, you're having to open something up. Now you've got to kind of try and keep it open while you write down your QC notes. Imagine if you could just have AI reading the video,
Yeah.
as it
Yeah.
were. Like you can just,
Exactly.
now you're keeping your hands free as well. Think
Yeah.
about that from a health and safety point of view. Now you're going to be more
Right.
safe because you're not having to like juggle with a pad and pen or like something to write down your note, your inspection notes. You're
Yeah.
physically or freeing your hands and legs up to make sure you don't
Exactly.
fall off the side of that bridge while you're
Yeah.
doing the
Less
inspection.
workers' compensation lawsuits, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it's phenomenal. Well, these are just examples, right, that we want to give to our listeners on how you could start thinking of AI adoption. Um,
Mm-hmm.
through software, through VR, augmented reality, and find areas where it saves cost, high ROI, and then, which is the next point that I have here, is don't overspend when embarking. Don't
we
go
just
out and buy 50 VR products out there that's going to cost you $50,000 and
we just
without any
started to get
software
excited.
loaded.
We're like, what about you could do this and you could do that, and they were spending millions. Yeah. Point number
Exactly.
5.
Yeah. No, you have to kind of stay grounded and kind of crawl, walk, run model. I kind of say, right. And once you get more comfortable and you get the right administrators for this AI technology internally,
Yep.
and you get buy-in from the rest of the departments, and
Yep.
you start kind of riding that wave at the end of the day. So take it
Yeah.
small. There's a lot of free solutions out there. Ways you can start embedding AI in
Mm-hmm.
your organization, and then figuring out, okay, this is actually working for me, or this is not working for me. We have to tweak our strategy, right? This is
Yeah.
not a destination. AI, I think, is ongoing, continuous. It is a journey, for almost forever. as you kind of go on this quest of process improvement, right?
Yeah.
Lowering your cost, hiring your margins, right? It's just always going to be ongoing. So don't look at it as I need to implement everything within like 6 months and through all the departments and spend a ton of money.
Hmm.
I don't think you're going to be successful that way. I think you need to take it, a specific clear goal at a time. Try to do it at a reduced cost, and then increase your budget as you get more comfortable um, with AI and the different technologies that you can use with AI for your
Mm.
business.
Yep.
You know?
Good. Now, if people want to do a little bit of Googling and seeing what's out there already as like finished packaged solutions, have you got any examples of what like these companies are offering so far, especially in this kind of manufacturing space?
Yeah, there's been some pretty good movement and initiatives in this area where we've there's some packaged products already now. Can you take the thing right away and take the software and product and plug it in and start using it next day? Probably not, but it's a starting point where you could continue to fine tune it for your business and for your resources. But the first one that comes to mind is Microsoft Factory Agent by Copilot. So this is Microsoft's kind of agentic solution for operations that helps your supply chain essentially
Yeah.
end to end, right? With MES integration, ERP integration, being able to find gaps in your processes, industrial engineering process, or whatever that is. So that's one that has kind of come up recently from Microsoft standpoint. And again, Microsoft obviously owners of OpenAI and ChatGPT, so you know that they're kind of a little bit more ahead of the game than probably other um, um, LLM models out there
Yep.
potentially. But I think that gap is even kind of getting a little bit
Yeah.
reduced as well nowadays with a bunch of different LLM models out there. But
Hmm.
Google's in the game, as we know, Google Gemini, right? They have
Yep.
Google Cloud Manufacturing Data Engine. So that's one that Google's attempt to, seamlessly streamline operations. Right. So if you're
Hmm.
like a Google house and you use Google Suite and you want to implement, Google Gemini, which you probably already have, and you're a
Yep.
manufacturer, this is one you may want to look into because this integrates into that stack for you.
Yep.
Um, One that's probably a no-brainer, and we're seeing it in the ERP space, is AI for your ERP, right? So if you're in a modern ERP solution like Acumatica or Business Central, you're going to start seeing AI assist. For Business Central, you already see Copilot everywhere in the product, where you could prompt your data through ERP, and then Acumatica has AI assist that's coming out here, but that's supposed to be really really neat as well, and some of its capabilities, because an ERP system at the end of the day is just transactional data, and
Yep.
it's really doesn't provide much value until you analyze it, bring that data to life, right? And see it visually, be able to kind of report on it anytime you want, and make decisions on it. So the AI concept with ERP, I think, is going to be huge. It's going to be game changing, in my opinion,
Yeah.
actually. Um, and then there's one I just threw on here. I just doing a quick Google search for Siemens Industrial Copilot. Again, built for make to order environments, make to stock environments to help with your engineering drawings all the way through
Yeah.
manufacturing and providing that feedback, whether those drawings need to be updated or not updated based on scrap factors and quality and considerations and that type of thing, right? Yields. So that there's another one. But how much you integrate any of these um, right away really is up to you as a business, but I would say kind of evaluate these, right? There's probably others out here that are available to you that we didn't even mention that you should be looking at. So that's why it's important to kind of listen to podcasts, go to conferences, right? Find the product that you feel most comfortable with at the end of the day for your business.
Yep. Good, very good conversation again. So kind of recap. There's a bunch really, but it doesn't mean that you're going to drop millions or hire an entire team of data scientists. I guess the answer is just start small, create that
Yeah.
internal space, understand your data, learn from others, and just pick one clear, easy but useful problem to solve. and go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't,
Yeah.
I guess, don't overspend, but do
Yep.
stay committed, because it is the future. It's not going away. And it's going
Yeah.
to continue to slap you around the face until you do something about it.
100%. 100%.
Good.
Here's a funny quote, though. I do want to kind of see out here. Artificial intelligence is no match for natural stupidity. So,
That's true.
so you know, but it's this is going to be here for us forever. This is going to be the new way of life for businesses and beyond. So,
Mm-hmm.
as a business owner, I would say start having those conversations internally. Don't shy away from it. Because it could if you don't take on this initiative, you will start falling behind sooner than you think. And with the economic conditions the way they are right now, tariffs are crazy, right? We don't know what's going to happen day in and day out. Or if you can't get a handle of increasing your margins, lowering your costs, and understanding I just think it'd be really, really, really tough to be competitive
Yeah.
right now. So, hopefully today's episode, we're able to get people to start thinking about having these conversations internally, being that kind of champion in the company to start embracing, this technology that's here to stay. Because it's ultimately gonna do more good. I feel like when used in the right way than harm. So.
Yep. Very good. Thank you as ever. Enjoy the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Continue to keep your finger on the AI button. Don't fall behind.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
easy to do. In fact, we probably have now. We've just spent 2 hours
Yeah.
kind of planning the episode, recording the episode.
Yeah.
What's happened in the
Yeah.
last 2 hours?
Yeah.
Probably another
Yeah.
open AI model.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
It's just launched. Quick.
the first AI for first hour was my AI. Second hour was actually me. So,
Very good.
awesome.
All right. Until next time, I will catch you on the next episode, 2 weeks' time. If you're listening
Yeah.
for the first time, we are the ABCs of ERP and Beyond. We are completely free. You would have noticed in this episode there wasn't a single advert that played. We just do it for the love of it and for the fun. So if you are new here, then make sure you like, subscribe. We only do a new episode every 2 weeks, so it's not too much of a commitment. So yeah, find us if you're interested in the space of ERP in terms of data, business intelligence, AI, all of the above. Make sure you give us a follow and catch us, and I'll catch you, Nirav, on the next episode in a couple of weeks.
You got it.
All right,
Thanks, Peter.
have a good one.
You too.